So, what if you could solve two of a country's biggest problems? We're talking national security and economic policy with one single, really smart, high-tech idea. Well, that's exactly what we're looking at today with an Indigenous-owned company called Bear Standing Tall.
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into the huge challenge of defending the Arctic. Then, we'll look at a pretty unique government rule. After that, we'll pop the hood on their three-part tech engine, check out their plan for growth, and finally, see how it all comes together in this bigger picture of innovation and national sovereignty.
All right, first up is a problem that is just massive in scale, protecting Canada's claim to the far north.
I mean, seriously, just try to picture that for a second. We are talking about millions of square kilometers of land and sea. For any military, that is a monumental challenge, and your typical surveillance methods, they just don't even come close to cutting it up there. You see, the real issue is that the Arctic isn't just vast, it's a uniquely tricky environment. Your standard off-the-shelf satellite tech and AI, it just gets confused. It literally can't tell the difference between a potential threat and, say, a big patch of shifting ice. You need something special, a tool that's built from the ground up for the North. Now, running parallel to this huge defense problem is a totally different kind of challenge. This one happens in government offices, and it's all about, well, it's a procurement problem.
And it all comes down to this one little number, 5%. It might not sound like a lot, but believe me, it represents a massive shift in how the Canadian government has to do business.
And make no mistake, this isn't a suggestion or a goal, it's the law. It is a mandatory requirement. So any company that wants to win a big federal contract has to figure out how to hit this target. And this is where the two problems crash together to create one really elegant solution. On one side, you've got these huge defense contractors. They win massive contracts, but they aren't Indigenous-owned, so they're stuck on that 5% rule. And on the other side, you have Bear Standing Tall, a certified Indigenous business with the exact high-tech skills they need. They become the perfect bridge.
So how does Bear Standing Tall actually pull this off? Let's take a look under the hood at the three-part engine that drives this whole thing.
At its heart, it's a simple but really powerful model. They buy raw data, they analyze it to add a ton of value, and then they resell the finished intelligence reports.
This is called the Value-Added Reseller Model, or VAR for short. You can kind of think of them as a matchmaker. They don't have to launch their own expensive satellites. Nope, they just buy the raw images from the big space companies, work their magic on it, and then deliver a polished final product. It's a software and intelligence play, which means they can start generating revenue almost right away. And here it is. This is their secret sauce, their Arctic Anomaly AI, or A3 for short. Now, this is not some program they bought off the shelf. It is a custom-built digital guard dog trained specifically on the unique visual data of the Canadian North. It's built to spot things that other systems completely miss, and that makes the reports incredibly valuable.
Okay, the final piece of the engine is all about security, and this is crucial. Military data is super sensitive. So by using a Canadian server company, they've created what they call a sovereign vault. It's a guarantee that all of that critical data stays right here on Canadian soil, which makes them a highly trusted, Indigenous-run digital bank for the country's most important intelligence.
So the technology is brilliant. The business model is super sound. But what does the path to actually making money look like?
Their growth plan is crystal clear. They're starting this year targeting about $250,000 in revenue by locking in those first contracts with the Department of National Defense. By next year, the goal is to basically quintuple that by expanding to other agencies like the Coast Guard and the RCMP with recurring subscriptions. And the long game? To become the essential go-to AI partner for all Canadian defense space contracts.
And the numbers behind all this are just incredibly strong. We're talking about a 55% profit margin. I mean, that's the beauty of being a software and intelligence company, right? There are no massive manufacturing costs. It's a highly scalable and highly profitable business.
All right, let's zoom out and look at the big picture for a second, because this is about so much more than just a clever business. This directly connects Indigenous leadership with the future of Canada's national security.
The whole thing is led by founder and CEO Jason Carter, and his background is just this unique combination of expertise that is perfect for this vision. He's from the Onion Lake Cree Nation and has a background that mixes top-tier business strategy, social work, and technical AI training from Harvard. That is pretty much the exact leadership you'd need for a vision this ambitious.
And you know, that vision is about way more than just the bottom line. As this quote from their own plan says, the company's success is designed to create this positive feedback loop, building intergenerational wealth and helping to fund community initiatives.
So when you put it all together, what you're really seeing here is Bear standing tall, creating a whole new playbook. It's proof that Indigenous-led companies can be right at the cutting edge, solving a nation's most complex security and tech challenges.
And that just leaves us with a pretty powerful question to think about. If one company can do all of this, what does the future hold as more Indigenous innovators step up in huge sectors like AI, space, and national defense?
You know, this whole model is really built for partnership. It's essentially an open door for major contractors who are looking for a way to fulfill that 5% mandates, and for government agencies that need secure, Canadian-based data intelligence.
So if you're part of a large organization looking to meet that 5% mandate, or you're with a government agency that needs secure Canadian data sales, you should absolutely reach out to Bear Standing Tall.